This is Andy Perrault for Boxing Social in association with Betfred, and I'm delighted to be joined by the Cobra, Carl Froch, out here in New York. Carl, how are you?
Yeah, not bad.
It's good to hear. Obviously, first and foremost, I want to congratulate you on your recent wedding. Everything goes as planned, or?
Other than missing the flight to get out there, everything went to plan. We got there 26 hours behind schedule. But yeah, it all went well. The sun was shining on the day. It was raining all week. The sun came out for the ceremony, so I can't complain.
Well, you've brought the son with you to New York as well, and I also saw that you caught Marvin Hagler at the airport.
Yeah,
or was you catching up with him about?
No, we were just chatting away. I've met him before, but I was looking at him thinking, is that Marvin Hagler? I even stuck his name in on Google, searched him out. Yes, definitely, I better go and say hello. But he was looking at me, I'm looking at him, because we've met before a couple of times. But no, it was nice to have a quick chat with him.
Well, obviously we are in New York now ahead of, tomorrow night, Joshua-Ruiz. Your thoughts on the fight?
Yeah, it's a decent fight, and I expect Joshua to do a job on him within 6 rounds. As long as he don't take Ruiz lightly, I reckon it'll be a formality. Look at Joshua and look at his improving fight after fight. He's a consummate professional. He don't cut corners in the gym. My coach Rob McCracken trained him, so I know the kind of drills he'll be going through, and I know the mindset. And when you're built like Joshua, and you're tall and strong and rangy, and you can box a bit as well as punch a bit, I think against someone like Ruiz, who looks like a bit of a physical wreck, and you know that's not to be taken. You can't take the fact that he doesn't look the part lightly, because you know in the heavyweight division looks can be deceiving. But I just think that Joshua's got too much for him.
Is there anything that Andy Ruiz will bring to the fight which AJ may not have had to come up against previously?
Potentially pace, potentially a bit of speed, but the distance and the range is going to be a problem. And Joshua can bang a bit as well. So with the height difference, you've got to get close to Josh. Joshua can box and move and keep behind his jab, walk him onto stuff. So I don't think Ruiz is going to have any serious threat or held any serious threat for AJ. But AJ needs to be on his A game, because if he's not, somebody who can throw quite quick combinations and who's fit for 12 rounds, although he don't look fit, he's fit for 12 rounds. We've seen him go 12 rounds before. His only loss, I think, was against Joseph Parker, and that was a bit of a contested decision. A lot of people think he won that. But he still lost to Parker, and AJ shut Parker out in what I thought was quite an easy fight. The ref helped him out a bit, kept breaking him up every time they got close, but AJ did a number of them and didn't really get out of second gear. So, you know, the writing's on the wall as far as I'm concerned, but he's still got to do a job. He's in New York, he's away from home for the first time. I don't know, he seems to have a swelling on his eye at the minute. I don't know if he's got a sty in his eye or what. I don't know how the sparring's gone. I've not really been talking to Rob McCracken that much on the build-up, so I don't quite know how the camp's gone, but I think he'll be absolutely fine, and Ruiz will probably make a better job or give us a better show than what Gerald Miller would have done. So looking forward to it, but I thoroughly expect AJ to do the business as he usually does.
Do you think the fight's missed that bit of like a build-up with regards to, Gerald Miller's very loud-mouthed and he's very much in your face, whereas Andy Ruiz has been a lot more respectful and calm and collected? Do you think that maybe the fight's missed that a little bit in the build-up? Yeah,
you could say that. I mean, Andy Ruiz just seems that he's happy to be here. He was looking at the belts yesterday in awe of Josh, and he's got his jeans and his shirt on and his trainers, and he looks like a punter, doesn't he? He doesn't look like he's here to compete. But make no mistake, he'll come and he'll have a go. But I do think that it's a step too far. I do think he's a little bit deer in the headlights, and that will be evident tomorrow night.
Callum Smith also defends his world title for the first time on this card, fighting Hassan Ndam, a fight which many fans haven't necessarily been pleased with. What are your thoughts on it?
I think he's got an easy job. He's a small middleweight and he's a big super middleweight, Callum. I think it'll be a formality. He needs to be out, he needs to be busy. You can't blame him for having a mark time fight. He's just come out of the Super Series. He had a couple of hard fights, did well. But the division's not really stacked with any big fighters at the minute. There's no big names hanging around. I think for him to get the fights that are going to give him recognition, he's going to have to step up to 175. Up at light heavyweight, he might get tested. But I just think tomorrow night's going to be an easy win for Callum Smith. And that's taking nothing away from his opponent. I just think Callum Smith's very good.
I mean, some of the names that have been mentioned, Billy Joe Saunders in the unification fight, or back to 160 if they were to step up, Canelo and Golovkin. Which out of those three do you think you would like to see more?
Probably Golovkin. I don't think Billy's big enough. Canelo potentially big enough, but the height and reach and range, I'd like to see Canelo have a couple more fights at super middle before I could judge him at super middle against someone like Callum Smith. But he'd certainly give him a fight, wouldn't he? He runs out of steam a little bit. It slows down after 6 rounds, Canelo. He ain't got that pace for 12 rounds. Why, I'm not sure, but he looks lumpy, he looks big and strong. So maybe it's that. But Callum Smith, with the height and range, and the fact that I think he's probably going to end up at light heavyweight, even though he doesn't do himself any damage making the weight, but he's a big super middleweight. So against them fighters, against them middleweights, I just think Callum's got too much for them.
Katie Taylor looking to unify the entire lightweight division as well. What are your thoughts on her progress and how quickly she's found herself in this position to be able to become an undisputed champion if she is successful?
Yeah, I think it's great. It's fantastic for women's boxing. She really is an ambassador for the women's side of professional boxing, and she's in a unification fight here against somebody who's only lost once, I believe, early on in her career. So I think this is probably going to be a first test, because I feel like she's not been tested. She's kind of dominated and done what she wanted. She's got fast hands, high work rate. She's got that amateur pedigree where she brings into the ring and she's just picking her punches perfectly, and she always answers back. She likes to stand and have a fight as well. So it's almost like whatever the opponent brings to the ring on the evening, Katie Taylor can deal with it and a bit more. So I'm looking forward to seeing her in a fight, actually, and I'm hoping that she's under a bit of pressure and she does have to fight, because you never know, do you, until the guy's tested or the girl's tested, how they're going to respond.
I just want to get your thoughts as well on the recent announcement Deontay Wilder will have a rematch with Wilder-Ortiz, and what was your initial reaction to it?
I don't know. I mean, it's not a bad fight, but Wilder-Ortiz is an old man now. He don't look the best, so maybe Wilder's looking at just obliterating him like he did Dominic Brazil a couple of weeks ago and sending out another statement. To be honest, I'm getting a bit sick of the whole heavyweight saga where the top three aren't fighting each other. AJ's saying he wants to fight Wilder next. Joshua's kind of vanished now, fighting. I don't know who he's fighting. There's a name somewhere, but I don't know who it is. And it's getting a little bit. It's getting frustrating, to say the least. The top three heavyweights aren't going to meet for a while, but there's a lot of money in boxing now with DAZN, with ESPN and Fox, Sky Box Office, and you know the landscape of boxing's changed a lot. And these heavyweights don't need to take these risky fights straight away. They can earn a few hundred million between them before they give the fans the fight that we want to see. Unfortunately, that's the business of the game. And I don't know who you're going to put your complaint into, whether you tell Eddie Hearn or Frank Warren or whoever you want to put your complaint into, but these fights aren't happening because, one, the promoters and the TV companies are dividing them, and two, the fighters don't really need to and probably don't want to take the risk. AJ's been talking about fighting Deontay Wilder in his very next fight, kind of knowing that he's signed a fight with Ortiz. So, you know, how much credibility do you give the fact that he's calling him out on the back of knowing that he's signed for, unless he got the news after, but I think he's serious about it. I spoke to Rob McCracken and he said his next fight will have to be Wilder. It's at the stage now where he has to fight Wilder. But I just don't see how that fight gets made.
This kind of leaves Anthony Joshua in a bit of a position where no matter who he fights, unless it is obviously Wilder or Fury, the fans aren't going to react well. In this case, he can't really help it. Wilder's chosen to fight Ortiz. Tyson Fury's career will be stateside for the next year, you would imagine, well, at least 2 or 3 fights. That only leaves Dillian Whyte. Is that the only fight AJ could have where he won't receive as negative a reaction as what it could have been, such as if this was to be Andy Ruiz, AJ was happening in the UK, for example?
Yeah, probably. I mean, there's a couple of names out there, a couple of older names. I mean, you've got Pulev and you've got a couple of other, like, smallish heavyweights in America. But no one's really going to take any attention to anybody other than the other top two and Dillian Whyte. So yeah, I think it's fair to say that if he's got no opponent in terms of the top two, he'll probably be having to fight Dillian Whyte just to keep face.
Well, Carl, I've kept you long enough, so as always, thanks for speaking to Boxing Social.
Pleasure.